The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows across the emergency room. Rain hammered against the windows, blurring the city lights beyond into watercolor streaks of amber and red. Mira Chen sat hunched in a plastic chair, her pale yellow cardigan pulled tight around her shoulders. Dark jeans clung to her legs, still damp from running through the storm. Her black hair hung loose, dripping onto the linoleum floor. She pressed her palms together, fingers interlaced so tightly her knuckles had gone white. Her younger brother was behind those double doors. Motorcycle accident. Critical condition. Across from her, a man in an expensive charcoal suit paced the length of the waiting area. His tie hung loose and around his neck, the top button of his crisp white shirt undone. Even disheveled, everything about him screamed wealth. His leather shoes clicked rhythmically against the floor, a metronome of anxiety. "Could you please stop?" Myra's voice cut through the silence. He froze mid-step, turning to face her. Dark eyes met hers, hollow and exhausted. "You're pacing. It's making this worse." For a moment, she thought he might snap at her. Instead, he sank into a chair 3 seats down, running both hands through his dark hair. "Sorry," he muttered. "I can't sit still when I'm waiting for someone to die." The bluntness hit her like a slap. "Who?" "My wife." His jaw clenched. Drug overdose. Intentional. Myra's breath caught. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." His voice turned cold. "I'm the reason she did it." The confession hung between them like smoke. Before Mira could respond, a doctor emerged through the double doors, eyes scanning the room. "Family of Daniel Chen?" Mira shot to her feet, heart hammering. The doctor's expression told her everything before he spoke a single word. "I'm sorry. We did everything we could." The room tilted. Myra's knees buckled, but strong hands caught her before she hit the ground. The stranger in the expensive suit held her upright as the world collapsed around her. "No," she whispered. "No, he can't be gone. He's only 23. Miss Chen, is there anyone we can call for you?" She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. There was no one. Their parents died 6 years ago. Daniel was all she had. "I'll stay with her," the stranger said quietly. The doctor nodded and disappeared back through the doors, leaving them alone in the fluorescent wasteland. Mira pulled away from him, stumbling toward the window. She pressed her forehead against the cold glass, watching the rain devour the city. "You don't have to stay," she said, her voice hollow. "Neither do you." He moved beside her, close but not touching. "But we're both still here. Why did you say you're the reason?" The question escaped before she could stop it. "Why did your wife try to kill herself?" His reflection in the glass went rigid. "Because I told her the truth." "What truth?" He turned to face her fully, and something dangerous flickered in his eyes. "That I never loved her. That I married her for her father's company. That every moment of our marriage was a lie." Mira stared at him, this beautiful, broken man who'd just confessed to destroying someone. "You're a monster," she whispered. "I know." His voice didn't waver. "But at least I'm honest about it now." A nurse appeared in the doorway. "Mr. Hawthorne, your wife is awake. She's asking for you." The man, Hawthorne, didn't move. He kept his eyes locked on Mira. "Will you be here when I come back?" "Why would I be?" "Because," he said softly, "you're the first person who's looked at me like I'm human in 3 years. Even after what I just told you." Before she could answer, he turned and followed the nurse through the doors, leaving Mira alone with her grief and a question she couldn't answer. 20 minutes later, he returned. His face was ashen, his hands trembling. "She's alive," he said. "She'll recover." "That's good." "She wants a divorce." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "She said I gave her what she wanted. Freedom from me. Now she can finally start living." Mira watched him crumble into the chair, this powerful man reduced to rubble. "I need a drink," he muttered. "Several, actually." "There's a bar 2 blocks from here," Mira heard herself say. "I could use one, too." He looked up at her, surprised. "You're coming with me?" "My brother is dead. I have nowhere else to go." She grabbed her purse, hands still shaking. And misery loves company, doesn't it? As they walked out into the rain together, neither of them knowing the other's name, Mira realized she'd just made a choice that would change everything. Behind them, through the hospital windows, a figure watched from the fourth floor, watching Mira leave with the stranger, watching with eyes filled with recognition and rage. Because Daniel Chen wasn't dead at all. The dive bar smelled like whiskey and regret. Neon signs flickered against brick walls, casting everything in shades of crimson and blue. Mira slid into a cracked leather booth while the stranger ordered at the counter. She studied him properly now. Mid-30s, maybe. Strong jawline, broad shoulders that filled out his suit jacket perfectly. The kind of handsome that came with danger attached. He returned with 2 glasses of amber liquid and sat across from her. "I'm Elias," he said. "Elias Hawthorne." "Mira Chen." They drank in silence. The whiskey burned her throat, but the pain felt good. Real. Proof she was still alive, even when everything inside her felt dead. "Tell me about your brother," Elias said quietly. "Why?" "Because I need to think about something other than my own destruction." He drained his glass and signaled for another. "Please." Myra's fingers traced the rim of her glass. Daniel was reckless. Always had been. He raced motorcycles illegally, got into fights, never held a job longer than 6 months. Her voice cracked. "But he was mine, the only family I had left." "Past tense already? What else should I use?" The doctor said he was gone. Elias studied her with unsettling intensity. "You're not crying anymore." "I cried in the hospital. Now I'm empty." "Liar." He leaned forward. "You're angry. I can see it in your eyes." Myra's jaw tightened. "Don't pretend to know me." "I know anger when I see it." His voice dropped. "I've been drowning in it for years." The bartender brought another round. Rain continued to assault the windows, the storm showing no signs of mercy. "Why did you really marry her?" Mira asked. "Your wife." Elias's expression hardened. "Her father owns Castellan Industries. Shipping, logistics, import-export. Worth billions. I work for him, ambitious and hungry. He offered me everything. Partnership, a seat on the board, his empire." He paused. "On one condition. Marry his daughter, Victoria." "And you said yes." "I was 28 and desperate to matter. So, yes, I destroyed an innocent woman's life for power." Mira should have felt disgust. Instead, she felt recognition. "I understand." "How could you possibly understand?" "Because I've done terrible things too." The confession spilled out before she could stop it. "Daniel's accident? It was my fault." Elias went still. "We had a fight this morning. I told him I was done supporting his reckless lifestyle, done bailing him out, done being his mother when I should have just been his sister." Her hands trembled around the glass. "I told him I wished he'd never been born, and he got on that motorcycle and drove straight into traffic. That's not the same as what I did." "Isn't it?" Myra's eyes burned. "We both use words as weapons. We both destroyed people we were supposed to protect." Before Elias could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and his face drained of color. "What is it?" He turned the phone toward her. A text message from an unknown number, with a single photo attached. It showed Mira and Elias sitting in this booth, taken from outside the bar window, just moments ago. Below the image, "I know what you both did, and I'm going to make you pay." Myra's blood turned to ice. "Who sent this?" "I don't know." Elias's voice was deadly calm. "But they've been watching us since we left the hospital." Another text arrived. This time just words. "The doctor lied, Mira. Daniel is alive, and he knows you wanted him dead." The glass slipped from Myra's hand, shattering against the table. Whiskey pooled across the scarred like blood. "That's impossible," she breathed. "I saw the doctor. He told me Daniel was gone." Elias was already on his feet, throwing cash on the table. "We need to leave. Now." "Why?" "What's happening?" He grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the back exit. "Because either someone is playing a sick game, or we're both in serious danger." They burst into the alley behind the bar. Rain soaked him instantly, cold and punishing. Elias scanned the shadows, his body tense. "There's something I didn't tell you," he said. "About Victoria. About why she really tried to kill herself." "Elias, what did you do?" Before he could answer, a figure emerged from the darkness at the end of the alley, backlit by a street lamp, face obscured by shadow. But Mira would recognize that stance anywhere. The way he stood with his weight on his left leg, favoring the right from an old skateboarding injury. "Daniel." Her voice came out as a whisper. The figure stepped forward into the dim light spilling from the bar's back door. It was him, alive, bruised and bandaged, left arm in a sling, but unmistakably her brother. "Hello, sis," Daniel said softly. "We need to talk about the man you're with." Mira's world tilted sideways. "I don't understand. The doctor said you were dead. He said they did everything they could." "That wasn't a doctor." Daniel's eyes shifted to Elias, and something dangerous flashed across his face. That was one of his people, part of the plan. Mira turned to Elias, confusion flooding through her. What is he talking about? Elias's expression had gone completely blank. The grief, the vulnerability, all of it vanished like a mask being removed. "I'm sorry, Mira," he said quietly, "but nothing tonight was an accident." Daniel laughed bitterly. "Tell her the truth, Hawthorne. Tell her why you were really at that hospital. Tell her what you need her for." The rain pounded harder. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed. Mira backed away from both of them, her mind racing. Someone explained. Right now. Elias met her eyes, and for the first time since they'd met, she saw something that looked like genuine regret. "Your brother stole $50 million from me 3 months ago," he said. "Money I desperately need to save my company from bankruptcy. Money he won't return unless I give him something he wants more. What could he possibly want?" Daniel's voice cut through the rain like a blade. "You..." Mira stared at her brother, rain streaming down her face like tears she couldn't shed. "What are you talking about?" Daniel moved closer, limping slightly. His leather jacket hung open over a torn black t-shirt, revealing bandages wrapped around his ribs. Blood had seeped through in places, dark stains spreading. "He approached you tonight because I told him to," Daniel said. "The fake doctor, the tragic story about his wife, all of it, choreographed." Myra's stomach turned. She looked at Elias, searching for denial. "Found none. You used my grief," she whispered. "You pretended to understand what I was feeling." "Some of it was real," Elias said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Which parts?" Her voice rose. "The dead wife who's actually alive and wanted a divorce? Or the confession about being a monster? Help me understand which lies I'm supposed to believe." The monster part was true. Elias stepped toward her. Everything else was strategy. Daniel laughed. The sound harsh and bitter. "Always honest about the wrong things. Aren't you, Hawthorne?" Myra's hands curled into fists. "Why? Why would you do this, Daniel? I'm your sister." "Sister." Daniel spat the word like poison. "You mean the person who controlled every aspect of my life after Mom and Dad died? The one who made every decision, held every dollar, treated me like a child. You were 17. Someone had to take care of you. You smothered me." His voice cracked. "Everything I did, everywhere I went, everyone I dated, you had an opinion, a rule, a boundary. I couldn't breathe without your permission." Tears mixed with rain on Myra's cheeks. "I was trying to protect you. You were trying to replace Mom." Daniel's eyes blazed. "Well, congratulations. You did such a good job that I spent 6 years trying to escape you. By stealing $50 million? Elias interjected coldly. "That's quite the escape plan." Daniel turned his fury on him. "You hire me to launder money through your offshore accounts. Don't pretend you're innocent in this." Myra's head spun. "You laundered money for him?" "For 2 years," Daniel confirmed, "until I realized what he was really using it for. Not just tax evasion. Something worse." Elias's jaw tightened. "Careful, Daniel." "Why?" Daniel smiled dangerously. Afraid Mira will learn the truth about the man she just shared her darkest secrets with? What truth? Mira demanded. Daniel pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and turned it toward her. A series of documents filled the display. Shipping manifests, payment records, coordinates. He's been trafficking weapons to war zones, Daniel said flatly, using his legitimate shipping business as a front. I found the proof 3 months ago and took the money he needed to complete his next shipment. Money he's already promised to very dangerous people. Mira felt sick. She looked at Elias, waiting for him to deny it. He didn't. Those weapons save lives. Elias said quietly, the people I sell to are defending themselves against oppression. You sell to whoever pays. Daniel shouted, rebels, cartels, terrorists. You don't care as long as the money clears. I care about survival. Elias's voice turned to ice. My company was dying. My father-in-law cut me out of the business when I told Victoria the truth. I had nothing. The weapons trade kept me afloat. Mira backed against the brick wall of the alley, her legs threatening to give out. And where do I fit into this nightmare? Daniel's expression softened slightly. 3 months ago, I told Hawthorne I'd return his money on one condition, that he convinces you to sign over your trust fund to me. The trust fund, $2 million their parents had left, locked until Mira turned 30, which was next week. You're insane, she breathed. I'm desperate, Daniel corrected. That money is my ticket out. Away from you, away from the city, away from all of it. So you fake your own death? Hired a fake doctor to tell me you were gone? Put me through that agony? Her voice broke. How could you? Because you never would have listened otherwise. Daniel's composure cracked. You never listen, Mira. You never see me as anything but a problem to solve, a child to manage. I see you as my brother. You see me as your burden. The words hung in the rain-soaked air between them, sharp and true and devastating. Elias cleared his throat. As touching as this family therapy session is, we have a problem. The people I owe money to don't negotiate. If I don't deliver in 72 hours, they'll kill me, and probably everyone connected to me. Good, Mira said coldly. You deserve it. Maybe. Elias met her eyes. But Daniel will die too. He stole from them as much as from me. The money went through my accounts, which makes us both responsible. Daniel's face paled. You said they didn't know about me. I lied. Elias pulled out his own phone, showing a text message. They've known since the beginning. I told them about you as insurance. If I go down, you go down. You bastard. Yes. Elias pocketed the phone. But a bastard who's offering you both a way out. Myra's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Sign over the trust fund to Daniel. He returns my money, keeps what's left. I make my delivery. Everyone lives. Simple. There's nothing simple about this, Mira said. That's blood money. Our parents died for that money. They worked themselves to death to secure our futures. And what future do we have if we're dead? Daniel's voice pleaded. Mira, please. I know I've been terrible. I know I've hurt you. But I'm begging you. Let me have this one thing. Let me finally be free. Mira looked between them. Her brother, broken and desperate. The stranger who'd weaponized her grief for profit. Both of them drowning in consequences of their own making. And somehow she held all the power. If I do this, she said slowly, I want something in return. Elias raised an eyebrow. You're negotiating? You two aren't the only ones who can play games. She turned to Daniel. You get the money. You disappear. But first, you tell me the complete truth about what you've been doing for the last 6 years. No lies. No omissions. Mira, that's not necessary. That's my price. Her voice hardened. You want freedom? You pay for it with honesty. Daniel's throat worked. Fine. She turned to Elias. And you help him disappear. New identity, new country, whatever it takes. You have the resources. Use them. Why would I do that? Because if you don't, I'll take those documents Daniel showed me and I'll deliver them to every law enforcement agency in the country. Her eyes blazed. You'll rot in prison for the rest of your life. And your weapons buyers? They'll find you before the trial even starts. A slow smile spread across Elias's face. You're more ruthless than I gave you credit for. I learned from the best. She glanced at Daniel. My family taught me that survival means making impossible choices. Daniel's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his face went ashen. What? Elias demanded. Someone just sent me a photo. Daniel's hand trembled as he showed them the screen. The image showed a woman bound to a chair in a concrete room. Blood trickled from her temple. Her eyes were wide with terror. Mira recognized her from the hospital. That's Victoria, she whispered. Your wife. Below the photo, a message. You have 48 hours. Money or her life. Choose wisely. Elias stared at the image, and for the first time since Mira met him, she saw a genuine fear cross his face. They took her from the hospital, he said quietly. This was never about the money. They want to destroy me completely. Daniel backed away. I'm out. This is beyond what I signed up for. You don't get to walk away, Elias said, his voice deadly. You started this when you stole from me. And you started it when you got into bed with killers. Daniel shot back. They were yelling now, blaming each other, unraveling. And Mira realized something that made her blood run cold. The only way any of them survived this was if she made a sacrifice none of them could take back. I'll do it, she said quietly. They both stopped, turning to stare at her. I'll give them what they want, she continued. But not the money. Elias's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Mira pulled out her phone, fingers steady despite the storm raging inside her. I'm going to trade myself for Victoria. The abandoned warehouse sat at the edge of the industrial district, its broken windows like hollow eyes staring into the night. Rain had finally stopped, leaving the air thick and metallic. Mira stood beside Elias's black Mercedes, wearing the same damp yellow cardigan and jeans from hours ago. They felt like a costume from another life. A simpler one where the worst thing she faced was her brother's recklessness. This is insane, Daniel said for the 10th time. He leaned against the car, arm still in its sling, face pale under the streetlights. They'll kill you, Mira. Maybe. She checked her watch. 11:45. 15 minutes until the exchange. But they'll definitely kill Victoria if we don't try. Why do you even care about her? Daniel demanded. You don't know her. She's nothing to you. She's an innocent person about to die because of choices we made. Myra's voice was steel. That's enough. Elias emerged from the shadows where he'd been surveilling the warehouse. His suit jacket was gone. White shirt rolled to his elbows, shoulder holster visible now. The gun at his side caught the light. 3 guards on the perimeter that I can see, he reported. Probably more inside. They're expecting the money, not a person. Then we'll have the element of surprise, Mira said. Surprise doesn't stop bullets. Elias studied her with an unreadable expression. You understand what you're walking into? Do you understand what you've built? She shot back. You created the situation. You chose weapons over morality. You married a woman you didn't love for power. You hired my brother to launder blood money. Every single thing that's happening right now is because of decisions you made. I know. His jaw tightened. Which is why I should be the one going in there, not you. They don't want you. They have leverage as long as they have Victoria. You're worthless to them dead. So are you, now that they think I have information about your operation. Mira pulled out her phone, showing the documents Daniel had given her. I'll tell them I know where the weapons are stored, who your buyers are, when the next shipments leave. I'll make myself valuable enough to keep alive. Daniel grabbed her arm. And then what? They torture you for information you don't actually have. She pulled free. Then you and Elias have time to get Victoria out and disappear. That's the plan. That's not a plan, Elias said. That's suicide. You have a better idea? Silence, because they both knew the truth. This was the only play they had left. Myra's phone buzzed. A message from the unknown number. Time's up. Send someone to the east entrance. Alone. Unarmed. She pocketed the phone and started walking toward the warehouse. Mira, wait. Elias caught up to her, grabbing her shoulder. Why are you doing this? Really? She turned to face him. Even now, even knowing what he was, part of her responded to the intensity in his dark eyes. Because Daniel was right, she said quietly. I've spent 6 years trying to control everything, keep everyone safe, prevent any more loss. But all I did was build a cage. For him. For myself. She glanced back at her brother. This is me finally letting go. By getting yourself killed? By making a choice that matters. She pulled away. You wouldn't understand. You've never actually cared about anyone but yourself. Something flickered across Elias's face. Pain, maybe? Or regret. You're wrong, he said. I care about you. Mira laughed bitterly. You've known me for 4 hours, and most of that was lies. Some lies reveal more truth than honesty ever could. He stepped closer. I know what it's like to carry guilt that never stops growing. I know what it's like to push away everyone who tries to help. I know what it's like to believe you're protecting people when you're really just afraid of losing them. Don't. Her voice cracked. Don't pretend we're the same. We are, though. His hand came up, almost touching her face before he dropped it. We're both drowning in choices we can't take back. Both desperate to save the people we've hurt. Both willing to sacrifice ourselves because we think it's the only thing left we can control. Tears burned behind Myra's eyes. If that's true, then you understand why I have to do this. I do. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device, which is why you're taking this. She looked down at the tiny black button in his palm. What is it? Tracking beacon. Press it once. I'll know where you are. Press it twice. I'm coming in. You can't. The moment you show your face, they'll kill Victoria. Then don't press it twice unless you absolutely have to. He pressed the device into her hand. Promise me, Mira. Promise you'll use it if things go wrong. She closed her fingers around the beacon. Things are already wrong. Before he could respond, she turned and walked toward the warehouse, her heart hammering against her ribs. The east entrance was a rusted metal door hanging half open. As Mira approached, a man stepped out of the shadows. Tall, scarred, holding an assault rifle. Arms up, he ordered. Mira raised her hands. The guard patted her down roughly, finding her phone. He crushed it under his boot. Inside, the warehouse interior was vast and dark, illuminated only by a few work lights hanging from chains. The concrete floor was stained with things Mira didn't want to identify. In the center of the space, tied to a metal chair, was Victoria Hawthorne. She looked nothing like Mira had imagined. Mid-30s, blonde hair matted with dried blood, expensive silk blouse torn and dirty. But her eyes were alert, defiant. A woman emerged from the shadows behind Victoria. Petite, maybe 50, wearing an immaculate black suit despite the surroundings. Everything about her screamed danger. You're not what I expected, the woman said, her voice carrying a faint accent. Eastern European, maybe. Where's the money? There's no money, Mira said. There's me, and information about Elias Hawthorne's entire operation. The woman's eyebrows rose. Bold. Stupid, but bold. She circled Mira slowly. What makes you think your information is worth this woman's life? Because without it, you'll never find the weapons you're actually after. The shipment that's worth 10 times what Elias owes you. A calculated risk. Mira had no idea if such a shipment existed. But the flicker in the woman's eyes told her she'd guessed right. Go on. First, you let her go. Then we talk. The woman laughed. You're in no position to negotiate. Neither are you. Mira forced steel into her voice. You kill me, you get nothing. You kill her, Elias will burn every piece of evidence and disappear. You'll lose both the money and the weapons. But let her go, and I'll give you everything. Silence stretched between them. The guard's rifle didn't waver from Myra's chest. Finally, the woman nodded. Cut her loose. The guard moved to Victoria, slicing through the ropes. Victoria stumbled to her feet, eyes finding Myra's. "Don't do this," Victoria whispered. "Whoever you are, don't." "Tell Elias the truth," Mira said quietly. "Tell him what he needs to hear." Before Victoria could respond, the guard hauled her toward the exit. The metal door clanged shut behind her. Mira was alone with the woman and 3 armed guards who'd emerged from the shadows. "Now," the woman said pleasantly, "let's discuss what you know. I want assurances first. You let me leave alive when this is done." "Of course." The woman smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "You have my word." And Mira knew with absolute certainty that she was going to die in this warehouse. The woman circled her again. "Start with the warehouse locations. Where does Hawthorne store the weapons?" Mira opened her mouth to spin another lie, to buy more time. Then the east entrance exploded inward in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Elias Hawthorne stood in the smoke and wreckage, gun raised, eyes blazing with fury. "Get away from her," he said quietly. The woman laughed. "So predictable, Elias. I knew you couldn't resist playing hero." "I'm not a hero." He stepped into the warehouse, and Mira saw Daniel behind him, another gun in his one good hand. "But I'm done letting people die for my mistakes." "How touching." The woman raised her hand. All 3 guards aimed their rifles at Elias and Daniel. "Drop your weapons or I kill them both," she said calmly. Elias didn't move. His eyes found Myra's across the warehouse, and she saw something there that made her breath catch. Something real. Something that might have been love if they'd had more time. "I'm sorry," he mouthed. Then he pulled the trigger. The warehouse erupted into chaos. Gunfire shattered the air. Mira hit the concrete floor as bullets screamed overhead. The world fragmenting into noise and violence and terror. Through the chaos, she saw Elias move like something unleashed. He wasn't the broken man from the hospital anymore. This was someone who'd survived in a world built on blood and bullets. He dropped one guard, was shot to the shoulder, spun, took cover behind a concrete pillar. Daniel fired wildly, his injured arm making him clumsy. A guard advanced on him, rifle raised. Mira didn't think. She grabbed a piece of broken metal from the exploded door and swung it with everything she had. The impact reverberated up her arms as it connected with the guard's skull. He went down hard. Daniel stared at her, eyes wide. "Mira, what?" "Move," she screamed. They scrambled toward the pillar where Elias had taken position. Bullets chewed into the concrete, sending fragments spraying. This wasn't the plan. Mira shouted over the gunfire. Plans changed. Elias returned fire, clipping another guard. "Victoria told me what you did, what you were willing to sacrifice. So you decided to sacrifice yourself instead?" "No." His eyes blazed. "I decided we all get out or none of us do." The woman's voice cut through the chaos, amplified somehow. "Enough." The shooting stopped. In the sudden silence, Mira heard her own ragged breathing. "You're surrounded," the woman called. 3 more guards at every exit. "You can't win this." Elias checked his ammunition. 3 bullets left. Daniel's gun was empty. They were going to die here. "I have a confession," the woman continued, her voice almost amused. "I never wanted the money, Elias. I wanted you to suffer, to lose everything the way you made me lose everything." Elias went rigid. "Katerina, you remember..." The woman stepped into view now, gun trained on them. "I wondered if you would. It's been 12 years since you sold weapons to the people who destroyed my country, since your greed armed the men who murdered my family." Mira looked between them, understanding dawning. This was never about the money he owed. This is revenge. Finally, someone with sense. Katerina's smile was poison. "I've spent a decade building power, making connections, waiting for the perfect moment to destroy Elias Hawthorne. And then his little money launderer gave me the opening I needed." Daniel's face paled. "You used me." "I recruited you," Katerina corrected. "Fed you information about his weapons trade. Encouraged you to steal. Suggested you leverage your sister." She laughed. "You thought you were being clever, but you were my puppet from the start." No. Daniel shook his head. No, I found those documents myself. I made my own choices. You found exactly what I wanted you to find. Katerina's gun didn't waver. Every step of this was choreographed. The accident, the hospital, even the connection between Elias and Mira, all of it leading to this moment. Myra's mind raced. Victoria, was her suicide attempt real? Oh, that was genuine, Katerina said. The poor thing actually believed Elias's confession about never loving her. Such a delicate creature, but useful. Her attempted death brought him back to the city, put him exactly where I needed him. Elias's voice was hollow. You've been orchestrating this for months. Years, actually. Katerina's eyes glittered with hatred. I wanted you to feel what I felt, to watch everyone you care about suffer, to know that you caused it, to die knowing you destroyed the only people who ever saw anything good in you. I don't have people like that, Elias said quietly. Don't you? Katerina's gaze shifted to Mira. This woman was willing to trade her life for someone she'd never met, because despite knowing what you are, some part of her believes you're worth saving. Myra's throat tightened. And your little accomplice. Katerina nodded at Daniel. He hates you, but he came back anyway. Risked his life to help rescue you. That's loyalty you never deserved. You're right, Elias said. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to walk out of here. But they do. Let them go, Katerina. Your war is with me. My war is with everyone who profits from death. Katerina's finger tightened on the trigger. Starting with you, ending with this broken world you helped create. Mira felt the tracking beacon still pressed against her palm. One press to signal location. 2 presses to call for help. But help was a lie. There was no cavalry coming. Just the 3 of them against an enemy who'd been planning this ending for years. She looked at Elias, this beautiful, damaged man who'd used her grief as a weapon, who'd built an empire on blood, who'd destroyed lives with calculated precision, and who'd come back for her anyway. I'm sorry, she said, for what I'm about to do. Before anyone could react, Mira pressed the beacon twice and threw it across the warehouse. Katerina's guards opened fire on the beacon's location. Concrete exploded. Light shattered. In the chaos and darkness, Mira grabbed Daniel and ran. No! Elias shouted. Mira, don't... The gunshot was deafening. Mira turned in time to see Elias fall, clutching his chest. Blood spread across his white shirt, dark and final. Katerina stood over him, gun smoking. No! Mira screamed. Daniel dragged her toward the exit. We have to move. Now! Behind them, Katerina's voice echoed through the warehouse. Run, little bird. Run, and remember what happens to those who dance with monsters. They burst through the exit into the night air. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. The beacon's emergency signal had actually worked, but it was too late for Elias. Daniel pulled Mira to Mercedes, finding the keys still in ignition. They peeled away from the warehouse as the first police cars arrived. He's dead, Mira whispered. She killed him. He knew. Daniel's voice cracked. He knew what would happen when he came back for you. He made that choice. They drove in silence, the city lights blurring through Myra's tears. 3 days later, Mira signed the trust fund papers. But instead of giving the money to Daniel, she did something neither of them expected. She split it evenly. $1 million for him. $1 million for Victoria Hawthorne, who'd lost everything to her husband's choices. Start over, Mira told her brother in the lawyer's office. Far from here. Far from all of this. And don't contact me until you become someone I can be proud of. Daniel held the check, hand shaking. I don't deserve this. No, Mira agreed, but maybe that's the point. Maybe we don't get what we deserve. We get chances to become better than what we were. He nodded, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry. For all of it. I know. She hugged him, feeling like she was saying goodbye to the brother she tried to protect and the sister she tried to be. Now go. She watched him walk away, carrying his second chance. Victoria found her that evening at Myra's apartment. The woman looked different without the blood and terror. fragile but healing. "He left me something," Victoria said, handing Mira a letter. "Elias. He gave it to his lawyer before everything happened." Myra's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside, Elias's precise handwriting. "Mira, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Good. I don't deserve to survive what I built, but you do. The money you gave Victoria will help her rebuild. The documents Daniel stole are now with federal investigators. My empire is ashes, as it should be. I want you to know something true. In 4 hours, you made me feel more human than I have in 15 years. You saw the monster and chose compassion anyway. That wasn't manipulation. That was grace I'll never deserve. Be better than me. Be better than all of us. With something that might have been love. Elias." Mira folded the letter, vision blurred with tears. 2 weeks later, she stood at the edge of the dock where Elias's ashes had been scattered. The water stretched endlessly, dark and deep. Victoria stood beside her, both of them survivors of a war they'd never signed up for. "Do you think people can change?" Victoria asked quietly. Mira thought about her brother, flying toward a new life, about Elias, choosing sacrifice over survival, about herself, learning to let go of control and trusting grace. "I think people can choose," she said finally, "and sometimes those choices are the only thing that matters." The water lapped against the dock, constant and forgiving. Mira closed her eyes and let the wind carry away the weight of choices she couldn't take back. Somewhere in the distance, a new day was beginning, and for the first time in 6 years, she felt ready to meet it. The end.